From brutal final hole collapses to golf clubs flying into crowds, these are the 20 most embarrassing golf moments that ever happened in 2025. When your tee shot lands in thick rough near a slope, close to a crowd, you've got a choice. Chip out safe or go for it. Jordan Spieth went for it. On the first hole of the final round at the 2025 Memorial Tournament, Spieth lined up his second shot from deep in the rough. He needed to punch the ball out and loft it over a portion of the crowd to get toward the green. What happened next showed fans deep in the rough at the edge of the fairway watching Spieth hit the ball directly toward them at a height that could easily have hit someone's head. One fan who was situated right in Spieth's line of sight posted a video showing what it was like to duck and cover while the ball screamed past. It went viral immediately. The ridiculous part of all of this is that Spieth's third shot landed inside 25 feet, and he rolled in the putt for a clutch par save. He then birdied the second hole to bounce back. Classic Spieth, spray one into trouble, nearly kill a spectator, still make par. All right, next up, sometimes the hardest thing in golf isn't making a great shot. It's finishing off what you've already done perfectly. Gino Thitical, the world number one, stood on the 18th green at the Kroger Queen City Championship with a one-shot lead over Charlie Hull. She'd reached the par 5 and 2, landing her second shot about 50 feet from the hole. All she needed was a 2-putt for birdie to win. Even a 3-putt par would force a playoff. I mean, that's simple math. So Gino gives the eagle putt a smooth stroke. It's tracking, slowing. And, okay, that runs about 5 feet past. Not ideal, but nothing dangerous yet. This is still firmly under control. Now the birdie putt to win it. She lines it up. Quick look at the hole. And she hits it. Hard. Way too hard. The ball starts right and keeps going, racing past the cup. 8 feet, 9, 10, and finally stopping. Suddenly, this is no longer simple math. This just became a test of nerves. 3 feet now for par, to at least force a playoff. She stands over it. The putt goes up the right side, keeps drifting, and lips past the edge. That's 4 putts, a bogey. And just like that, Charlie Hull steps up and taps in her birdie from 2 feet to win the tournament at 20 under. Gino walks off in shock. Later, she'd admit she cried so hard she needed ice packs on her eyes. For the best player in women's golf to completely unravel on the 72nd hole, missing twice from 5 feet or less, was stunning. Next one. When you've spent 159 PGA Tour, starts chasing your first victory, and you finally hold a 3-shot lead heading into Sunday, you start thinking this might actually be the day. For Tommy Fleetwood, that dream lasted about 4 holes. At the 2025 Travelers Championship, Fleetwood had been flawless on Saturday, posting a 7 under 63 to build a comfortable cushion. This was supposed to be his moment. He'd won 7 times on the DP World Tour, but that PGA Tour win? Still missing. The stats were brutal. He had 42 career top 10 finishes without a win, the most in the modern era. Sunday started like a disaster. 3 bogeys in the first 4 holes evaporated his lead entirely. But Fleetwood rallied, making birdies at 11 and 13 to rebuild a 2-shot cushion with just 4 holes remaining. Then his tee shot flew over the green at the par 3 16th, and he couldn't save par. Keegan Bradley, the local hero, was right there. The 18th is where it collapsed. Fleetwood striped his drive but landed just off the front of the green while Bradley stuck his approach inside 6 feet. His birdie attempt came up 7 feet short. Then, with everything on the line, he pushed his par putt just right of the cup. 3 putts, bogey. Bradley drained his birdie to win by a single stroke. Fleetwood walked off looking numb, unable to process the consolations. After waiting this long, choking on the final hole, not from bad luck, but pressure, was absolutely devastating. Up next, golf meltdowns usually take a few holes. William Mao managed to pack one into a single par 5, and it all started with a drive so perfect, it should have led to a birdie. Not a horror movie. Mao was 6 under, a PGA Tour rookie sitting right on the cut line as he stepped onto the 16th tee at PGA West's Stadium course. He nukes a 330-yard drive down the middle. With 275 yards left, he decides to go for the green in 2. His fairway wood went left into the one place you can't go, the infamous 18-foot deep bunker known as the San Andreas Fault. What happened next became a horror show. Mao's first bunker shot flew over the green into the rough. His chip back? Too thin, it scooted across the green and back into the bunker. It took him 3 more attempts to escape again, but the ball flew over the green once more. His chip rolled through the green and down into the bunker. The same nightmare loop, bunker to rough, rough to bunker, repeated itself like a cruel joke. He escaped the bunker twice only to put the ball back in. On his 8th shot, the ball rolled across the green and back into the sand. Finally, he played out sideways, chipped onto the green, and two-putted. 13 strokes. An octuple bogey. To make it worse, Mao triple bogeyed the par 3 17th immediately after, finishing with an 81. Those were the most embarrassing 15 minutes in the California desert. All right, we move on. There are meltdowns in golf. And then there are the ones players wish the cameras definitely weren't rolling for. Adam Hadwin found the fairway off the tee on the par 4, 10th, and had just a mid-iron to the green. But his approach shot was left very short and right. On his 3rd shot from 44 yards out, he hit a squirrely chip that left him frustrated. So he did what angry golfers do, slammed his iron into the rough in frustration. Instead of simply digging up turf, he accidentally connected with a buried sprinkler head, smashing it and setting it off. Water sprayed out with fury, 40 feet in each direction. Hadwin tried to stop the water, first by stepping on the broken sprinkler, then bending down to try to put the pieces back together. Nothing worked. The water even reached spectators nearby on what was a chilly Florida morning. Eventually, he knelt over the broken sprinkler, possibly embarrassed, possibly still trying to fix the high-pressure leak. He finished with a double bogey on the hole, which pushed him to 5 over 76 for the day and caused him to miss the cut completely. The irony? Hadwin's only career PGA Tour win came at this very tournament, the Valspar Championship back in 2017. 8 years later, he's most famous for destroying a sprinkler and standing helplessly in a fountain of cold water while the internet watched. Coming in next, imagine already having a bad day and things keep getting worse. When that happens, eventually something snaps. For Wyndham Clark at the 2025 PGA Championship, it was his driver, literally. Clark opened his final round with 4 bogeys in his first 5 holes. By the time he reached the par 4 16th, he was 3 over for the tournament, and coming off yet another bogey, his tee shot sailed right into the bunker. Before the ball even landed, Clark brought the club back and violently flung it into signage behind the tee box, just a few feet from a volunteer holding a flag. The impact left a hole in the signage and snapped the head of Clark's driver clean off the shaft. Just behind that board was a marshal named Chris DeYulio, holding up a flag to inform spectators where the ball was headed. DeYulio later took to social media. "I'm the marshal holding the flag. Scared me to death," he tweeted, with a photo of Clark's driver head having ripped a hole in the board in front of him. Clark tossed the broken shaft to the side, leaving both pieces of the club behind as he made his way to his ball in the bunker. The rules prohibit replacing a club if you voluntarily break it, so he had to finish the round without his driver. He finished tied for 50th at 4 over. Up next, let's say you're known as one of the most technically flawless ball strikers in golf. So the last thing you want is to accidentally turn your driver into a missile. During the opening round at the Sony Open, Matsuyama teed off on the par 5 9th at Waialae Country Club, and things went sideways fast. He hit an errant tee shot left, but worse, he lost grip of his driver during his follow-through and launched it straight towards spectators on the rope line. The club went flying like a javelin at full speed. 2 women stood at the front of the crowd, completely unaware a Srixon driver was hurtling toward them. Fortunately, the club hit the rope barrier and stopped just short of reaching them. Matsuyama knew immediately how bad that could have been. But here's the absurd part. Despite the wayward tee shot landing near the boundary fence, he hit his second shot just short of the green, chipped close, and walked away with a birdie. He finished with a 3 under 67. Matsuyama has a well-known habit of dropping his club in disgust after poor shots, and usually it's harmless. But when one of the tour's steadiest players nearly takes out spectators with his equipment, that's the kind of viral moment that makes even a birdie look embarrassing. The internet had a field day. All right, we move on. You know that feeling when you're stuck in something and every attempt to get out just makes it worse? Phil Mickelson lived that nightmare on live television. After an opening round 79 at Quail Hollow, Mickelson was fighting an uphill battle on Friday. But 4 birdies and 5 holes had him 3 under for the day and building momentum. Then came the par 4 12th hole. After a 323-yard drive down the fairway, his approach landed in the left greenside bunker. No big deal for one of the greatest short game players ever, right? His first bunker shot didn't escape. He rubbed his nose, looked at his ball. 7 seconds later, he hit his second bunker shot, still in the sand. Stroke 5, his third bunker attempt, still stuck. It took him not one, not two, not three, but 4 shots to finally get out of the bunker. When he finally escaped on his 6th stroke, the ball flew across the green and onto the fringe. 2 putts later, he carded a quadruple bogey 8. It was Mickelson's first quadruple bogey in his entire PGA Championship career, on his 2,117th hole. He immediately bounced back with back-to-back birdies on 13 and 14, but the damage was done. He finished at 9 over and missed the cut by 8 strokes. For a 6-time major champion known for his wizardry around the greens, this was embarrassing. Next up, there are a million ways to make par in a par 3. What's not on the list is, well, killing something. We're on the 12th tee at the U.S. Women's Open, Lancaster Country Club. ISI Gabsa is sitting at 2 over, staring down a par 3 that's been chewing players up all day. She takes her swing, smooth, balanced, and the ball launches on a perfect line, dead center, tracking the green the whole way, and then, wait, what is... Oh no, the ball drops out of the sky and hammers a bird that was just sitting on the green, completely unaware. A split second. A thud you can't unhear. The bird collapses instantly, motionless, while the ball ricochets a few feet away like nothing happened. A rules official jogs in, crouches over the bird for maybe 2 seconds, then quietly picks it up and carries it off the green like this is somehow normal? Meanwhile, Gabsa walks up with the body language of someone who's not sure whether to apologize, laugh, or look away forever. She still has to putt. 21 feet. 2 solid rolls, and somehow she makes par. One of the very few on that hole all day. But she'll forever be remembered as the golfer who killed a bird at the U.S. Women's Open. Alright, so there are golf meltdowns. And then there are the ones where you miss not 1, not 2, but 3 tap-ins. Cameron Young was about to find out which kind he was having on the 16th at Augusta. Young drove his tee shot 148 yards to the right of the green, straight into the crowd. Not ideal, but recoverable. He chipped on, leaving himself 12 feet for par. Still manageable. Then the collapse began. He missed the par putt, leaving himself what should have been a tap-in for bogey. The ball circled the cup but didn't fall. Another tap-in. He quickly lined up and hit it again. This one was even further off. Now he had a 3-footer. Young took a deep breath before finally sinking his 4th putt. 4 putts from 12 feet. Triple bogey 6. In an instant, he'd plummeted to 3 shots off the cut line with only 2 holes left. The nightmare didn't stop there. Young bogeyed both 17 and 18 to shoot 79 and missed the cut by 5. At the time of his meltdown, he was 2 over and inside the cut line. Within an hour, his Masters was over. Young had top 10 finishes at the 2023 and 2024 Masters, but this was Augusta exposing him in the cruelest way possible. Next up, what's worse than playing badly? Watching yourself unravel in slow motion on the toughest hole on the course. Nelly Korda entered the 2024 U.S. Women's Open as the runaway world #1, riding 6 victories in her last 7 tournaments, including a major title at the Chevron Championship. Lancaster Country Club's 12th hole, a 161-yard par 3 playing downhill to a severely sloped green with water in front, was already wreaking havoc on the field. When Korda's group arrived at the tee, 2 other groups were waiting ahead of her. She had about 25 minutes to watch trouble unfold. Her tee shot went long into the back bunker. Her bunker shot came out too hot, rolled past the pin, and tumbled down the slope into the stream in front of the green. She took a penalty drop on the far side and hit a low pitch that banged into the upslope and rolled back into the water. Another drop. Her next pitch flew to the front of the green but couldn't hold. It rolled back into the water again. Korda dropped into a crouch, stunned. 3 balls in the water from inside 70 feet. She finally got her 4th chip to stay on the green, leaving herself about 8 feet. She missed the putt. Septuple bogey 10. She walks off with an unthinkable 10 over 80, 12 shots back. And later, trying to make sense of it, she said, "Making a 10 on a par 3 will definitely not do you any good at a US Open." No kidding. Coming in next. You ever watch someone chase their entire future down to the final inch? At the WM Phoenix Open, 19-year-old Florida State junior Luke Clanton stood on the 15th green, staring down a 30-footer for eagle. Make the cut, and he'd earn his 20th PGA Tour University Accelerated point. That means a guaranteed tour card, before even turning pro. After a rough opening 76, Clanton came out firing Friday. He was 5 shots below the cut line with just 8 holes to play. Then he poured in a 28-footer for birdie at 11 and nearly holed an eagle chip at the par 5 13th. Birdies at 11, 13, 15, and 17. The kid was putting on a show. On 15, he was on in 2 with that 30-footer for eagle tracking perfectly. Everything about it looked good until it stopped. His ball traveled 30 feet, 5.5 inches, half an inch short of dropping, right there, hanging on the lip, mocking him. Nobody could believe it. He tapped in for birdie and kept fighting. At 18, he had 18.5 feet for the birdie he needed. It didn't drop. He shot 67 and missed the cut by 1 shot. The man is young. His time will come. But that putt, that's the kind of moment that replays in your head for years. Next up, there's being a passionate home crowd. And then there's becoming the story for all the wrong reasons. At the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, comedian Heather McMahon grabbed the mic on the first tee and actually led the crowd in cursing at Rory McIlroy. Yes, over the loudspeakers to thousands of fans, including kids, at what's supposed to be golf's classiest team event. She stepped down and apologized later, but the damage was already done. The whole weekend turned into a mess for Team Europe. Every time McIlroy got ready to hit, people yelled at him. He had to back off shots again and again. Fans even shouted a reporter's name while he was putting, bringing up tabloid drama about his marriage. His partner, Shane Lowry, got hit with weight jokes. By Saturday afternoon, there were almost 20 New York State police officers lining the fairways just to keep things under control. Golf legends were furious. Former U.S. captain Tom Watson said he was ashamed. Gary Player called the whole thing disgusting and said the Ryder Cup was in shambles, wondering what icons like Ben Hogan or Arnold Palmer would think. McIlroy also said that golf should be better than this, and what happened was completely unacceptable. Europe still won, but it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like a black eye for American golf, one that's not going away anytime soon. Up next, when the 76-year-old legendary caddy Mike "Fluff" Cowan slipped on wet grass during the final round, nobody expected what happened next. It was the 3rd hole at Hamilton Golf and Country Club, rain making everything slippery, and Cowan went down hard. He got medical attention for non-serious injuries but couldn't keep going. CT Pan suddenly had no caddy in the middle of a PGA Tour round. That's when Paul Emerson, a fan from nearby Aurora, Ontario, stepped up. As Pan was walking Cowan over to a medic, Emerson asked if he could help. Just like that, a guy from the crowd was carrying the bag for a PGA Tour pro. Emerson helped Fluff get the bib off, threw it on, and started walking up the hole. But then it gets wild. Emerson learned pretty quickly that caddying in a pro event isn't easy. And after about 30 minutes, he needed his own replacement. A member of Caddy Services, Michael Campbell, stepped in and looped through the 5th fairway. Then Al Riddell, who caddies for Paul Bargin and lives just 15 minutes away, heard what happened and rushed back to the course to help his old friend from the Mackenzie Tour. Riddell finished the back 9, 4 caddies in 1 round. Pan still managed to shoot 1 under 69 in the rain. Not bad for a guy whose day started with his caddy taking a tumble and ended with a rotating cast of volunteers. Next up, there's dressing casual, and then there's showing up to one of golf's most prestigious venues looking like you just woke up from a nap. Jason Day teed off for the final round at Pebble Beach wearing a full gray sweatsuit, sweatpants, and a crew neck sweatshirt with nothing but a tiny cursive M on his chest. No polo, no tailored pants. But loungewear? Day partnered with Malbon Golf after his Nike contract ended in 2023, and the brand's whole vibe is relaxed fit performance clothing. But this wasn't relaxed. This was what you wear to pick up groceries at 7 a.m. It's funny because Day's outfit clashes had happened before. Augusta national officials made him change clothes during the 2024 Masters. And just the week prior, PGA Tour officials asked him to cover up the giant Malbon logo on his windbreaker at the Farmers Insurance Open. But this was next level. Day shot a final round 69, tying for 13th at 12 under. His golf was fine. But when you're a former world #1 and major champion playing Pebble Beach, a cathedral of golf, and you look like you're about to binge Netflix on your couch, the embarrassment isn't about your score. It's about looking wildly, hilariously out of place. Up next, Tiger Woods had 199 yards to the hole during a TGL indoor match in February. Simple enough. Except for one tiny problem. He thought he had 99. Woods stepped over to his caddy, longtime confidant Rob McNamara, and asked for the yardage. 99, McNamara said. Caddies often drop the first number when the distance seems obvious. But it wasn't obvious to Tiger. His teammates Kevin Kisner and Tom Kim, who were fully aware he had 199 to go, were stupefied. Woods hit wedge. A perfectly good wedge shot that traveled 117 yards. The ball landed and his eyes popped out of his head. "You said 99 yards," Woods said to McNamara. He then repeated himself 4 times more. Kisner and Kim dropped to the floor laughing. This is Tiger Woods we're talking about. 15 majors, 82 PGA Tour wins, the most dialed-in yardage player in golf history, and he just hit a shot 100 yards short of the target because he didn't think to ask 99 or 199. For a guy who's built a career on precision and control, bungling basic communication on national television was painful. The fact that it happened in TGL, a made-for-TV indoor league designed to showcase star power, only made it worse. Even legends screw up, but when they do, everyone's watching. Coming in next, some golfers break under pressure. Others break their clubs. But Anne Van Dam? She broke her driver in the most ridiculous way possible, at the absolute worst moment imaginable. Trust me, you won't ever believe what happened here. Van Dam had just birdied the final hole at Dromaland Castle to get into a playoff with Smilla Tarning-Sonderby and Lisa Pettersson. She was pumped. After a shaky final round, she'd pulled it together when it mattered most. Time for the playoff. So she hopped into a cart with a tournament official to ride back to the 18th tee. Simple enough, right? They decided to cut through the fairway instead of taking the path. The pair went down the fairway, instead a nearby path. But no one could have predicted what happened next. Van Dam, who has 5 let victories to her name and was eyeing up another, lifted the gallery rope up for the cart to pass under. But it came down around her driver and pulled the bag to the ground. The rope caught her golf bag like a fishing line. But instead of a fish, it snagged her driver and yanked it clean off the cart. Snap. Oh, you could see the rage on her face. Her main driver had already been broken earlier in the week during airline travel. This was her backup. What are the odds? So Van Dam didn't have much choice. She hit the fairway with her 3-wood and followed it up with a good shot, giving herself a chance at birdie. But Sonderby went even bigger. Her shot was amazing, and she made an eagle to win her first Ladies European Tour title. Next up, golf fans talk about slow play all the time, but Patrick Cantlay, he plays at one of the slowest paces on the circuit. It drives everyone crazy, and now he's in real trouble. So here's what went down. His pre-shot routine involves shuffling his feet a number of different times before ultimately pulling the trigger. And during the final round of the Tour Championship, it got so bad that even the commentators were getting annoyed. There's Cantlay on the tee box, doing his thing. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. His waggle is never ending. The cameras keep cutting back to him, still shuffling, still wagging, still not hitting the ball. Media member Jason Page tweeted, "If you watch, you can actually see the grass growing under Patrick Cantlay's feet. Brutal." That's when Phil Mickelson saw his chance. Now Phil's not known for staying quiet. The guy loves stirring the pot. But this time, instead of just calling Cantlay slow, he decided to get mathematical about it. He shuffled his right foot 26 times. 26 times before he hit it. 26 times 36 other shots is 936 foot shuffles, Mickelson wrote on X. But wait, there's more where that came from. That's more calf raises than I'll ever do. You also must be in peak physical condition to do this daily. So let's stop all the hate and appreciate that golfers are athletes. The internet exploded. Cantlay, meanwhile, kept doing his thing. "I definitely take my time," he once admitted. When asked about the criticism, he said slow play was more of a tour issue than a player issue. What the f*** are you doing? Not exactly the kind of phrase you expect to hear on a golf course. It's Friday at the 2025 Live Golf Dallas event, and Peters is grouped with his 4 Aces teammate, Patrick Reed. Yeah, the guy who's been controversial his entire career. The atmosphere is already tense. Reed's trying to focus on his round when some fan in the gallery starts running his mouth. We don't know exactly what was said, but it was enough to get under Reed's skin. And that's when Peters lost his mind. The Belgian golfer, who was already having a terrible day shooting 3 over par, suddenly snapped. But instead of taking his frustration out on his clubs like he's famous for doing, we'll get to that in a minute, he decided to take it out on a spectator. Peters ducked under the gallery rope like he was entering a boxing ring and marched straight toward the stands with his putter in hand. Meanwhile, Reed, He managed to hole his downhill right to left slider for par before turning back to stare down the spectator who berated him. The man stayed ice cold while his teammate fought his battles. The whole thing lasted just minutes, but it clearly got to the guy. Peter stumbled through the first round, racking up 4 bogeys and a double bogey. Meanwhile, Reed went on to win the tournament in a playoff, completely unbothered by the drama his teammate had created. On to the next chapter, where tensions boiled over at the Ryder Cup in the worst possible way. The Ryder Cup has always been intense. Emotions run high. National pride is on the line. Players are representing their countries, their continents, and every shot feels magnified under that kind of pressure. But what happened between Justin Rose and Bryson DeChambeau's caddy crossed a line that nobody expected to see crossed. The confrontation erupted during one of the matches, with both sides already on edge from the week's mounting tension. Words were exchanged, voices were raised, and what started as a verbal disagreement quickly escalated into something physical. Rose, the veteran Englishman known for his calm demeanor and sportsmanship, found himself in an altercation that nobody saw coming. Bryson's caddy, defending his player and his team, pushed back just as hard. Officials had to step in. Players had to separate them. The whole thing played out in front of cameras and thousands of spectators who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. The Ryder Cup is supposed to be about competition, camaraderie, and respect. But on this day, all 3 of those things broke down completely. When team competition brings out the worst instead of the best, something has gone seriously wrong. And this moment became one of the most uncomfortable scenes in Ryder Cup history. Which brings us to the next one. Picture this. You're the world's #1 golfer. 1 hole left, everything on the line. Then you hit what looks like a decent shot and watch your Ryder Cup dreams disappear into French sand. First match out, Rory McIlroy versus Justin Thomas. World #1 against rising superstar. All square after 17 grueling holes. The 18th at Le Golf National is diabolical. Water guards the right side like a hungry predator. Thomas went first, crushing his drive down the narrowest part of the fairway. Perfect placement under ultimate pressure. McIlroy's 3-wood looked promising at first, soaring toward the landing area. But golf's cruelest trick struck. The ball plugged straight into the bunker lip. An absolute impossible lie. What happened next was golf at its most sadistic. First swing, ball rolls back into the sand. One more chance. He grabbed a longer iron, needing to clear the lip and reach the green. The ball started clean, then clipped the bunker lip and veered into the water. Game over. Thomas hit a perfect approach to 15 feet. McIlroy didn't even bother walking to the green. He shook hands right there in the fairway, conceding defeat. Heavyweight pillow fight, Thomas called it later. Diplomatic. Merciful even. Because what Rory had just experienced wasn't a fight. It was an execution.